Hello and welcome to John Dixon and Associates podcast. I'm Drew Dixon here with Scott Pinson, and glad you're tuning in today. Uh, it's a Friday. You caught us on Casual Friday, um, so pardon my T-shirt. But just got done with our July multi-seller auction. Had a good sale. Um,
It was a good sale. We talked about it. We tell you guys on the podcast that we sit around and we discuss what we think things will bring at the auction. Sometimes we're right, sometimes we're wrong. This one we were wrong. It brought more than we thought it would, Drew.
that's right. That's right. Some of the sellers wanted it to bring more, but of course they did. But what we're seeing is, I think that market peak we've gone past that. I think we're starting to level back off, and a lot of my contacts at the banks are saying it's coming. They're getting back to pre-pandemic foreclosure rates going on. So
Well, and people are still scurrying about. They're scrambling. They're trying to figure out where should they invest.
that's right.
And people are taking money out of the stock market. The stock market's real uncertain. Uncertainty is really the enemy to any economy. And you know what is certain is real estate. It's tangible. You can touch it. You can drive by it. Real estate continues and probably will remain for a long time to be a great investment.
That's right. And that auction we had 5 different locations of properties. Two of those had several lots. One had 10, one had 5. But we had over 50 bidders, fighting over this stuff.
We did, and we had several developers and builders that participated in the auction. So, residential lots are really selling right now, and there's a lot of interest in those. And if you're watching this podcast and you're sitting on some residential lots, now's the time to sell them.
That's right, because the market's only going to start going down from here.
We're also getting, we're getting different kinds of phone calls. The phone calls we're getting now are very different than they were 3 months ago. And so a lot of people, they want to know what we've got coming up. They want to get our advice on what their properties are going to bring if they decide to put it into auction. That's really one of the services that I wanted to tell the podcast that, folks that worked with us know this, but all you got to do is pick up the phone and give us a call and say, tell me what you think this will bring at auction. And that's what we do. We'll drive down there. We'll take a look at it. We'll do some due diligence. That's our job. And we'll come back and we'll give you a good idea of what we think it'll bring at the auction.
That's right. And we're going to be conservative. The last thing we want to do is tell you it'll bring 100,000 and we get to the auction, it brings 75, which is a good price for the property, but you don't sell it and you're mad because we told you it'd bring more than it does. So we're gonna be very conservative in our numbers to you because we want you to go in auction day excited, and we want the buyers knowing that it's going to sell.
Well, and I think along that line, we are going to be conservative. And so whatever figure Drew or I give you, it's probably going to bring more than what we tell you to bring.
That's right. And I've been in the auction business 30 plus years, and there's a big difference in selling absolute and reserve. We had 2 similar properties, one selling reserve, one selling absolute, and the reserve property, which was a lot in the floodplain, and the absolute had even more in the floodplain, and that absolute brought much more than the one with reserve.
That's an old story. That's exactly right. And sometimes it's hard to convince a seller that selling absolute's the way to go, especially someone who's never done an auction before. They always say, "What if it brings $1?" Well, that just never happens. It just never happens. But going back, reserve is a price at which you are not compelled to sell it past. Absolute means that it will sell regardless of the price. And anybody that's watching this podcast, if you've ever purchased properties at our auction, you get excited about something that's absolute. You know it's going to sell. And that generates exponentially more interest. And when there's a lot of interest, that means there's a lot of bidders, and that's what makes the prices go up. And you're exactly right. You sell something with a reserve price on it, which we don't release to the public, so the public doesn't even know what the reserve price is. Or you sell it absolute, you're going to get a lot more interest absolute.
That's right, because people know that it's gonna sell. There it is, the bridle's off. If they had any interest in this property, now's the time. It'll be, you know, go by it the next day. It may be available for sale, but the price will be even more. Um, so, we always recommend selling absolute just because of our experience. But I tell sellers, if it's going to keep you up at night worrying, then don't do it. It's not worth sleepless nights, anxiety attacks. It's still going to bring what it's worth, but the the psychology of an absolute auction is second to none.
Our sellers are very happy with the auction last week too,
That's right.
and so they're tickled to death. They were happy to get things off their books. Same thing for you watching this. You may have some properties you just want to get rid of, get off the books, stop paying the carrying costs, turn it into cash and move on. The flip side of that is that if you're a buyer, you need to be coming to our auctions. You need to see what opportunities are there. You can call Drew and I and say, what do you think this property is going to go for? We don't know. It's like looking in a crystal ball. But the smart, savvy investors, they're ready to purchase that day at the auction, and they jump on opportunities, and that's all our auctions are. It's just opportunity.
That's right. That's right. And, we're getting calls. I have several contacts with different banks, and they're seeing this change coming. They're seeing it coming. Talk to a government agency who says, next year be ready because it is coming. So now's the time, folks. If you're sitting on some property that you think you may sell in the next year or so, strike while the iron's hot. Scott had said, talked about the reserve, how we don't give it out. We don't give it out because, as an example, in this last sale, a group had a reserve on a property. It did not meet that reserve. However, they confirmed it. They said, well, we'll take that. And you put a number out there, and when people give us a reserve, some people, they're asking for the moon. I don't blame them. But they're willing to take a little less. So we don't put any numbers out there. We let the crowd tell us, the market that day, that time, that day is going to reflect what that property's worth.
Well, and we've been doing this long enough to know that by the time a property gets to auction, they want it sold.
That's right.
Okay, they're not calling us unless they want it sold. And that's why it creates such a great opportunity for a buyer.
That's right. And I've said it several times, an auction isn't to capitalize on your gain, it's to minimize on the losses. The future of the market, the holding time, taxes, HOAs, whatever the case may be. It's a quick way to sell your property, turn it to cash. We're actually putting together our next multi-seller auction, which will be August 30th. The auction will actually take place at our regular place, the Home to Suites in Marietta, simulcast online. We've got several properties already committed to it.
Well, and when you hear Drew say we're putting it together now, you need to act fast if you want to be in this auction.
That's right.
We're gonna, signs go up 3 to 4 weeks before then, so signs will go up the 1st of August. We have to know what's in the auction before we order those signs. But listen, give us a call. Now's a good time. Get those properties in. See what happens. We'll tell you what we think that'll bring, but we don't know what's going to happen on auction day. But call us and tell us what you've got that you may even want to consider putting in the auction.
That's right. That's right. We'll get it sold for you.
Yep.
Well, hopefully Scott's done a little homework and got us a trivia question.
We do. We do. We have a trivia question. Y'all see me drinking the coffee out of the John Dixon and Associates limited edition coffee mug. We've been giving a lot of these away.
We need some more boxes, actually, to send.
That's right. All you need to do is answer the trivia question correctly. Send an email to scott@johndixon.com. Include your contact information on there. And if you're correct, we'll get you out a coffee mug. Now, here's another thing, too. You may not be watching this podcast on the day it's released. You may be watching it a couple days or even a week later. That's fine. If you know the answer or think you know the answer or just want to guess, send it in. We'll get a coffee mug out to you for the first one who's correct.
That's right.
Employees or former employees are not eligible to win.
No.
Families of employee members, family members of former employees are not. Listen.
Exes,
Yeah, ex-wives, no. But anyway, if you want coffee mug, answer the correct question. Here's the question today, the trivia question. Which state has the most tornadoes annually?
Oh, interesting.
Okay, so if you know, or you want to guess, or you want to Google it real quick, which state in the United States has the most tornadoes annually? It may not be exactly what you think it would be. But send me an email, scott@johndixon.com, and we'll get the coffee mug out to you.
Yeah, reach out to either of us. My email's drew@johndixon.com. Call here at the office, 770-425-1141. Talk to us. You can go to our website, which is johndixon.com. You can get on our e-blast list where we send out information on upcoming events, tell you what's going on, keep you abreast of what we have cooking.
We'll send out a property list. A lot of people really want that property list early.
That's right.
So they can get out there and take a look at the properties. That's the best way to get it. Or you can contact us and we'll shoot you what's going to be in the next sale.
That's right. We've had people from that list that before anything's out in print go look at the property and say, hey, I want to make an offer on this thing. And, you know, it doesn't happen every auction, but we get offers in on these properties, and as licensed real estate agents, we have to present that to the seller. And it's not unheard of for a seller to say, okay, let's sell that thing. Let's move on. And it'll just be removed from the auction. If you'd like to be a guest, you have something you want to push or want to sit in with us one day, let us know. We'd love to have you on here. We can do it by phone or love to have you here in person, but let us know if you'd like to join us or what you'd like us to discuss. But thank you for joining us today, and we'll get you next time. Thank you.